You guys seem to be loving this tiny little drift car lately. I've been getting a whole bunch of questions and comments on it. So today I figured we could go a little more in depth with it. Full disclosure, I'm still pretty horrible at drifting. I'm not the greatest, but I wanted to clear up a couple things surrounding this car. First is the amount of drifting that it does. I've had a couple people say that the car doesn't really drift well, it just does donuts, and part of that is my lack of experience, but the other part of that is a setting on the remote. I didn't really go too far into detail with this when I first unboxed this car because I didn't know much about it, but there is an SVC knob here that essentially just controls how much the gyro in the car works, how strong it is, and that takes a little bit of playing around with to figure out what setting works best for you. Works best for me. I also noticed this thing drifts completely different on different surfaces. You see here today I'm on a ping pong table. I find it drifts better on like a hardwood floor actually, or something really smooth. The smoother the surface, the better it'll drift for sure. There's also, for people like me who aren't really the greatest drifters, don't have too much drifting throttle control, there's a switch up here to limit the throttle percentage from 20 to 50 to 100%. You can see 20% doesn't really do too much, it's kind of slow. 50% helps us kind of learn drifting a little better. 100% is really fun, but like I said, I'm still not the greatest at drifting, so you don't see a whole lot of nice drifts out of me. I also learned today there is a knob on the transmitter for dual rate for the throttle, and that can also be used to help you when drifting as well. A combination between that gyro control and the throttle dual rate to help you apply the power at the correct time can really help you put together some better drifts. But still, my favorite thing about this little car is how easy it is to put a little track together like this. This is just a printer cable that I have looped around the ping pong table, and I can easily slide this little thing around and have a lot of fun pretty quickly without having to go out and do anything. A viewer mentioned in a comment one thing that I do agree with that is a downside to this little car, a con if you will. I'm not a huge fan of the gold tires. They throw off the scale look a bit, and although at this smaller than Hot Wheels scale really, scale looks aren't really an issue, those gold tires do look a bit funny, and I personally believe that they are part of the reason why this thing doesn't drift as well as you would expect a 1/10 scale rear wheel drive drift car to drift. From what I can tell, these are actually made of metal, and even though I don't have much drifting experience, the little drifting experience I have, I quickly realized the different compounds of those plastic drift tires makes a pretty big difference depending on the condition of the surface that you're drifting on. And while I understand why they probably went with this option for the wheels and tires, longevity most likely, they do hinder its drifting abilities a bit. It's really easy to slide and spin out, do donuts, but as you can see, because of these very slick metal tires, it's a little harder to gain traction. Yes, we're looking for a little traction to control a drift, a long sweeping drift like so many people love to see. Even so, this is still probably the best under $100 that I've spent in RC. You can't really go wrong for a little cheap toy like this for how fun it is, like I mentioned, just drifting around on the countertops. Yes, subdue your expectations. This is not a 1/10 scale drift car. It will not perform the same as a 1/10 scale drift car, but that doesn't mean it can't still be a fun little RC. And it's still pretty capable of giving you a pretty fun time drifting, and it's pretty challenging as well. It's kind of fun just to challenge yourself drifting something this small with its capabilities. If you're interested in one of these, I'll drop the link down below to where I got this one on Amazon. Like I mentioned, you guys seem to be really enjoying seeing this little car here on the channel, so make sure to drop a like if you want to see more of it, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the RC videos coming to the channel in 2024. As always, thanks again for watching. Peace.